Panditpur was a name that existed on maps, but it lay in a desolate region, far removed from human civilization. Surrounded by dense, thorny forests and rugged mountain ranges, the village remained isolated from the rest of the world. At the heart of the village sat an ancient, deep, and mysterious well that the locals called the Thirsty Well. The elders used to say that the bottom of this well held no water, but rather a truth so dark that no living human had the courage to face it. As a freelance writer, I always sought out places whose legends had been lost to the pages of history. When I arrived in Panditpur, I saw a strange, lingering fear in the eyes of the villagers. No one wanted to speak about that well. I took up residence in a dilapidated mansion where the windows would open and shut on their own at night. My first day passed normally, but as soon as the sun set, the landscape of the village shifted. The birds fell silent, and a strange, pungent odor filled the air, as if an old grave had been unearthed. It was 3:30 a.m. when I suddenly woke up. The room was freezing, despite the blistering summer heat outside. Even the ticking of the clock on the wall seemed to stutter and pause. I got out of bed, thirsty, but as soon as I stepped onto the balcony outside my room, my eyes were drawn toward the well. A dim blue light was emanating from it. Grabbing my camera, I walked slowly toward the well. As I neared the well, sounds began to emerge. They were not screams, but a long, agonizing rustle, as if thousands of souls were trying to speak at once. I shone my flashlight and saw handprints in the dirt around the well, leading inward toward the edge. My courage was failing, but curiosity pulled me closer. I leaned over the mouth of the well to look down. There was no darkness inside. Instead, there was a deep, shifting black mass that thrashed like a living creature. Suddenly, a cold, pale hand emerged from the depths and gripped the rim of the well. The hand was swollen and devoid of fingernails. I recoiled, but my feet felt glued to the ground. The creature was slowly emerging. Seeing its face was enough to shatter any human sanity. There were no eyes, only two deep pits oozing black blood. Its mouth was unnaturally wide, filled with sharp, knife-like teeth.
I ran with every ounce of strength toward the village alleys. Behind me, I could hear the heavy thud of footsteps. Thud, thud, thud. The creature wasn't walking, it was hovering in the air. The trees around me seemed to block my path. I took refuge behind the wall of a small mosque. I tried to control my breathing, but the creature stopped right on the other side of the wall. I could hear its sharp, heavy breaths. It was muttering something, a language that was not human. I felt as if it was calling my name. My hands were trembling. I pulled out a small string of prayer beads my grandmother had given me, clutching them tightly as I began to pray. For several minutes, there was silence. Then, suddenly, those heavy footsteps retreated back toward the well. I waited a while longer, then gathered the courage to flee toward my mansion. The next day, when I recounted the entire incident to an elderly man in the village, his face turned pale. He told me that Panditpur was founded by a tribe that practiced dark magic. They had created this well as a black gateway to communicate with creatures from another world. But the entity escaped their control and annihilated the entire village. Those who live there today are in reality slaves to that creature. Since that day, I decided to leave. I packed my belongings and headed toward the bus stand. But on the way, I heard the call of the thirsty well again. I didn't look back.
Today, sitting in the noise of the city, I still feel the cold breeze of Panditpur. I often wonder, was it truly a story?
Or is that creature still waiting for another traveler? On my shoulder, I still carry that mark, a black scar that is only deepening with time. I feel as if that well, that thirsty well, is still pulling at my soul.